Alright guys, this is Dr. Von Mad and we're back. We're about to start working some more on our treasure chest. When I'm done putting it back up on the shelf, I'll show you some other stuff I've added to the exhibit. Because, I like to do these as sort of little displays. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our liner in. So we'll set the box up like this. We're going to bring our lid around. Now, for this part, you're going to be needing, I've got some purple craft foam. Red would work nice. Whatever colors float your boat, but I'm going to be using purple. It's a royal color, and I think it'll look nice in there. So what we got to do is, you want to leave just enough room. So I want to cut off maybe an inch off the side out around it, to kind of make it just an inch shorter all the way around. And kind of just, I'd rather just trim it off until I get where I need. What I'm wanting to do is I don't want it sticking out. But we're also going to be doing one more thing before I do that. I got to put my interior hinges on. I'm going to put some fall hinges on the outside to make it look more like a treasure chest, but we're going to put some interior hinges. Now for that, I've got some remaining black craft foam. I'd use felt, and you probably could if you wanted to, but it's going to be, so the first thing we're going to do is add our hinges. Now for the hinges, you just want to cut a couple of pieces about maybe an inch square by about maybe 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches. And I'd rather get it a little too much than not enough, and it's not, these are not going to really matter as far as appearance, so if they look a little bit ratty, it's not going to matter because it's going to be an interior part. We're going to glue those right in here. The reason we're putting those in before we put in the liner is because the fact that once this liner is in, I don't want to put anything on top of it, so we want this part here. Ow, I got hot glue on my fingers. Alright, get rid of these cobwebs. See, now, we're going, like I said, I'm going to glue these on first. I'm going to have to get some more glue, so I may take a break from this because I actually do have another item that I'm going to have to do, and I don't want to go mixing the glues and have to switch it back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that hinge dry and go ahead and use up the glue stick on what I'm doing next, and I'll show you that. We have a I'm going to go ahead and use what I can of it. I'm going to use this gold glue stick to kind of make some rivets, but I'm going to see if I can use up the remnants of this glue here to finish this up, now that I've got something in there to push it. Alrighty. There we go. Like I said, the reason we're gluing that in first is because the fact that I want to, so we got to make sure that this is going to fit in here. So I'm going to have to cut it a little bit shorter because I want to make sure that it's going to fit, but I don't want it leaving a whole bunch of exposed. I don't want the actual construction of this thing being seen. So I'm going to measure it off just a hair. Alright, now then. Let's see if we can get this in here. Then I'll have to see about getting it glued in place in these corners. Alright, we've got it cut. Now then, I'm going to have to... Okay. And you can use the extra felt if you need to, because we're going to, I'm sure. Because I'm probably going to end up having to do some covering. And that's okay. So, we'll glue that right along here. Let's tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this corner out right here. I want this to glue in place. We can always touch it up if we need to. But I'm going to glue that right up like this. Actually, that will do the job beautifully, and then I can touch it up along here or whatever, you know. I'll go ahead and trim this down right here. Now, go ahead and glue the liner in place. I'm going to go a little bit sparse with this because I don't want to have a whole excess amount of glue in this thing. So, what we're going to do is we're going to come around here. Now we've got it glued in on this side. Now, like I said, I'm going to probably end up having to do a little bit of trimming here. So what we're going to do is kind of line that up, and I'll probably trim down some because, like I said, I'm going to end up having to do it that way. There we go. See how many minutes we got left on this video. Alright, now got that in place. Now we're going to go ahead and spin this around. I'm going to go ahead and put some glue here and here and here and bring this up and attach. There we go. Now spin it again, and where it's not covered, I'm going to use that excess felt to do exactly that. So I'm going to go ahead and put a touch right here. So I want it just to kind of line it up. Now you see why I said you wanted to put the actual hinges in first rather than afterward, because you want your felt to kind of cover that up a piece. And I used black because it'll blend in with the background. Now you see we do have a bit of a problem over here, but that's not going to be an issue because I'm going to cover that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here now. I'm going to unfold this piece. And we're going to pull that over as tight as I can get it. Now, that looks pretty decent actually. But we're going to go ahead and cover up this side if I can. Well, the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and glue over the top of this around this ridge right here, around this hinge. Like I said, I want all that not to be exposed. Now, go ahead and glue in right in here. Now we're starting to get the gold stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and glue it around those ridges right here, but then we're going to go and get some, go ahead and do our rivets now that we're starting to get the gold glue in. And I'll have to probably touch over it with a little bit of the gold paint. I may use a different shade of gold. Okay. Okay, cobweb's got to go bye-bye. Turn it. Now, let that dry a minute. Bring our box over here. Now let's go ahead and get this one, and I'm going to switch to from the gold to the silver here, because like I said, I'm probably going to end up having to put some metallic paint over the top anyway. So here goes. You're probably going to have to cut some strings off of it as you're doing it. I just hope I don't run out of glue before I get these rivets in place. I know I'm not actually counting them. I know that probably they would have the same amount, but it is what it is. So, go ahead and look at this now. I'm probably going to let the glue dry on these while I'm going ahead and finishing up this liner. I got to put in a false bottom, so that'll be something else we're going to be that'll be another thing we're working on. Now where was I got that at? A false bottom, which we actually do need. Now I'd rather this be in cardstock. Let's see if I've got my poster board fell off. I'm going to have to pick it up. Hey, what, I'll be back in just a minute while this stuff dries. Alright guys, we've got the cardboard for the false bottom. Like I said, I don't want it being too shallow, but I've got to have it a bit shallower than it is. So what we're going to do is I got to cut it down to size. This is just some of the rest of the cardboard from the actual making of the box's structure itself. See, I need it to be roughly the same width as the box. I'm going to cut it down slowly and see if I can edge it in, because I'd rather cut off too little than too much. Okay. Put these strips up here. I may need them before it's over with. Now, alright, now we're getting somewhere. Now your next step will be to fold these. You've got to fold them just so, because you got to make sure that they're going to fit into this box. Now, I'm going to probably end up folding it 2 or 3 times to get it where I want it. Yeah, okay. So if that's right there, you're going to fold it up right about here. See, now that's going to make a dandy false bottom. Let's see how it fits. Alright, may need to be a little bit more folded. Probably just a hair more. There we go. Now, see, now I have to trim it down just a little bit more. I don't want to have it trimmed too much, because cut off too much and you sort of defeat the purpose. I don't want anything falling in underneath that false bottom. The reason for the false bottom is because you see how deep this thing is, and I want it to appear full of treasure. But really, I don't have a whole lot of stuff that I really want to put in there as treasure, so I just need kind of a false bottom to make it look deeper than it actually is. Alright, now I cut it down just a hair more. Just a little bit. Just kind of, I don't want it being too wide, but we got to have it narrow enough that it can put in this false bottom. Now I may cut down some of this ridge right here so that I can make it just a tad shallower. I don't want it being overly shallow, but it needs to be where it'll be much easier to fill up. I don't want it to have near the volume that it appears to. And we can fudge a little bit on it, but right there's where I want it. Okay, now let's go ahead and put our glue in place and glue this guy up. Now we're still using the silver glue, so there we go. Now, on this side here, let's grab this before it slippy slides here. I'm going to bend this up so I can get in here. Bring this over and attach it. Now you see, you have a proper false bottom on it. Now, it's a little bit wavy, but we can work with this. Now, our next step, we got to figure out which way this chest is supposed to aim. And I've got to finish lining up the interior. So that's our next step. And I may end up having to come back with some craft felt and touch this up a piece, but we'll see. I don't really think too many people are going to notice that. So we're going to go ahead, put a couple of strips of this in here, kind of line it up. Like I said, it's supposed to look old, so it looks like it's maybe been patched up at some point or another. And that's just fine. And I'm going to have a glue stick. Unfortunately, I found the bulk of my glue stick, so we're not dead in the water with this project. I won't have to wait till Thursday to get it done. So, there we go. It's not perfect, but I've never been an upholsterer, so I've never been an upholsterer. So, go ahead and, like I said, for display purposes, not going to hurt anything. Now, get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead and test this thing up on its lining. That's going to line up nicely. So our next step is to go ahead and glue these hinges in place. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and I'm going to put my glue onto the hinges, provided it'll let me. Now we will be putting some more wood on this thing in the form of the, give it a little bit of clearance because you want it to be able to open. But, for all intents and purposes, there you are. So, I mean, that's practically done. Now, we do have one other thing we've got to do. And I bought this right here. This bit of chain. Now, we're going to have to rip that loose and take a pair of scissors and cut this little bit of string off of it. Now, what this chain is for is to keep this thing from hyperextending, and this thing somehow got itself tied into a knot. So I gotta get it untied. There we go. Now, I'm gonna cut this down, or at least break it down, to a certain length. If it'll let me. Man, these are stout chains. Really should probably figure out how to untangle it, because there's a lot of chain on this. Let's look at this thing. I don't need a big chain, but I do need a bit of it. And this thing's gonna make a monkey of me. This chain may actually be way too large for what I'm trying to do. Now, so that's a hefty amount of gold chain. That's like Mr. T style here. Okay, I'll be right back. Alright guys, I got a smaller chain. I don't know if you caught that. Something just went off with a video. I got one and I got two over here that I can easily break off. Unlike that big heavy one that would take an act of Congress. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hot glue this chain in on this side. And hopefully get it to stay there. And I want it hot glued in on that side. Now, so what we're going to do, this is probably going to not feel great, but it's got to go up here onto this. It moved. It slippy slid, and I may end up having to staple it or get some other means of keeping it from doing that. Now, we're going to go ahead and put another one here. Now I could have also maybe put a thumbtack or something in there to hold it, but, or you know, even if you just wanted to, you could probably leave this off and it would probably not hurt a thing. It'd be fine, but I bought it and I'm going to use it. There we go. Now, remember we were talking about that piece of cardboard? That's going to be this right here. And we're going to line that on the inside of it to glue it around that chain to keep it from sliding. Like I said, it's going to be filled with stuff, so it's not going to be that big an issue. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and glue here and here. Oh, come on, let go of it. Thank you. And around here and here. I'll take this, slide this in around this interior because I want it glued in place, and held it up right here. Now, at least I'm hoping that's what'll happen here. Whoa. And it slammed shut on my hand. Alright, that's going to be a problem. It does not want to stick. But, let's see if we've got enough glue on this thing to keep it from... it works. Now, let's go ahead and put the fall hinges on the back of this thing. As you see, we've got a gape right here. And I've got some tongue depressors that I'm going to be using, and I'll paint those gold and put some rivets to them as well. I think for these, I'm going to use these this kind of an undulating thing to kind of simulate more of a decorative type hinge. So we've got two of those. These are what they call wavy sticks. You're going to want it cut down about midway through that first flare. And hopefully a little more even than I got. Now, you're going to need 4 of those. What we're going to do, if we do this right, we ought to be able to save ourselves a little bit of headache with those chains and make the chains more decorative, which would be great. So what we're going to do is I want it glued in right there. Now, I want another one glued in. We'll trim that a little more evenly. It's off kilter. There we go. I'm going to glue that one in just right here. Just a little bit up. Now, glue this other one in. I'm going to cut these down a little bit shorter on this end, I suspect. So we're going to, I'm going to cut just a little bit shorter. So you do want 4 of these, but you're going to have to cut 2 of them short. Midway at the beginning of the first flare. 2 of these. Let's see, we'll glue them right there. Now, there you go. I'll glue the other one in right here. And since we're in the neighborhood, got all these cobwebs all over this thing, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 little studs right here, and right here, and right here, right here, right here. Now, we need a dowel rod, and actually I do have a small dowel rod or a bamboo skewer. Either one will do the job. Just need a small one. Something about that big. And what you're going to do is you're going to come up here and you're going to cut it down about yay big, because you're only going to want to make a false, and try not to keep it from snapping at an odd angle like I just had. See if I can snap this off in one piece. May have to get my blade out and do this. So, get the knife out. Whoa! That jumped right out of my hand. Gotta be careful. Now, if you had a pair of pliers, like I'm gonna have here in a second, that did not work either. Maybe you have to get a saw or something. Alright, what we're going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go ahead and roll this until I get halfway through it. Let's see if we can do this without snapping it and at an odd twist. And we got it. You're going to glue that right at the very end of these 2. And the reason being, grab another glue stick. The reason being is I'm going to try to, maybe a little bit down from it. You don't want it interfering with the opening and closing of the box. But you do want it to where it'll maybe help hold it up and take some of the weight off the chain. So I'm going to glue it just a little bit south, and let's see how this opens up now. May have it too secured because now it doesn't want to open at all. So I may have to go in and do a little bit of trimming. This is right there where the problem is. Now let's see if that helps. It's going to have to stay up, and that's going to be our issue. It's going to have to stay open, because it's right now trying to spring back closed. So we got to find out why it's not wanting to stay open. That'll work. You have to adjust it just a hair, and it twisted a little bit, and I don't like that, but it is what it is. Alright, let's look at the box on the back side. Maybe we can figure out why it won't close up. I'm suspecting it's maybe this one here is a little too long and keeping it from springing, from staying open. So let's trim it down just a little bit. Don't want to cut my hinges, but need to get some of this off of it so it'll stay open. Okay, well, that does the job. Alright, now, at 9 minutes left in this video, I'm going to go ahead and fill this dude up. We've got some things to throw in here. For starters, you gotta have gold coins. Now, we did buy some, and I've got some jewelry, some costume jewelry and stuff to use. Go ahead and unplug my glue gun. We're pretty well done with it for this project. I'll have to touch up my... Now, we'll buy 2 or 3 more packages of those before it's over with. We'll go ahead and open these rings and chunk them in. I wouldn't throw actual money in there for the simple fact that it'd be too heavy. But plastic coins and small trinkets, not a big deal, I don't think. I haven't actually tested the weight on this thing to see how much it is. We may end up having to buffer it up or something. So we may end up putting some sort of brace or something in underneath it. We'll see how it holds up. Alright, so we've got our actually that might serve well to keep it open. Maybe throw a few of these coins into it to kind of make it look a little fancier. You could also take this, like this chain right here, and hang it off the side at various points to make it look like there's more of it than there actually is. You know, like that. We're going to put some more coins in there, little plastic coins all in it. But, see, we can throw all kinds of little trinkets in there. But I may end up having to put a strut in here to support it. Because if I'm going to put like glass gems in here, and I don't know how much weight this thing will carry. So, that actually is much heavier than it was. I'm not going to hazard that. I'll have probably end up coming back and putting that in there. But for all intents and purposes, we're almost done. See, now then, we can go ahead and get the paint. Now I'm going to go in here and get some brighter colored gold to do all these rivets and stuff. And I got to get some black painting because we got to paint our keyhole. So we'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, I can't find the gold paint that I was going to use, but I have some model paint that I'm going to make use of. Hopefully. So I've got a paint rag right here. And got this, this is Testers. I think it's model paint, but we'll work with it if I can get it open. Got to get it open. And it's got a weird smell to it, but most model paints do, so what are you going to do? Alright. We'll go ahead and grab a short fat brush. Hopefully we've got enough water on this thing to keep it from being too stiff. Alright. We're going to go ahead and touch up our the trim on this thing and those little bolts. Yeah, that smells weird, and that brush is dirty. See if I can find one that's not quite so nasty. So I don't want it looking too awful. Let's see if we can actually use any of this. Don't think that's going to work. That actually does not help. So I'm going to try plan B. Go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and paint it with the original color, even though I think it's too dark. I think that royal gold is way too dark. Now, I had some Inca gold and bright gold, but I cannot find the bright gold. So, and that tester stuff is sticky. I'm going to throw it out. I don't think it's going to be any good to us. And I'm going to pluck some, because I have some stringers here. I have to do this on all the sides because we have a bunch of stringers. Has anybody figured out what happened to that hard drive? Well, I'll tell you. We took my old computer over to my brother's property. He's got some property off in the country. And we shot it full of holes. What you saw there was the result of putting various rifle, pistol, and shotgun rounds through it. And that was a lot of fun. Kid Mad got to fire an AR-15. And I took my Mosin Nagant. See, the hinge is not as pretty as it could be. But that's going to be at the back of the thing. It's what would be known in the plastics trade as a C surface or a B surface, because it's not going to be readily visible. I got another stringer. Under it, there it goes. We got another one. There we go. Now, okay, we got some more stringers. Alright, now turn the camera just a hair. Got more stringers right here, so that's gotta go bye-bye. I'll go ahead and paint this. Like I said, I could have painted it silver and it'd probably look better, but since I've already started with the gold, in for a penny, in for a dime, you know. Oh, there we go. Got another stringer. Come here, get in under it. Get in under it. Get in under it. There we go. Pull that loose. Getting gold paint all over my hand. Now, got some junk on it right there. Alright, now, be pulling glue off of this thing because it's sticking to my brush. Now, since I used the gold glitter paint on this, I don't think that I'm going to have to get too crazy with it. Now, we're going to get our pinpoint brush because I got to paint a keyhole. And after that, we're going to be going to the black paint. Now, what did I do with the black paint that I brought out here? Thought I brought some black paint out here. I'll be right back. Apparently, I did not bring the black paint out here. Alright, guys. I thought I had it on, but apparently it went off or whatever. As you can see, I've already painted I painted just a basic circle up here. There you are. A keyhole. Now, let's go ahead and set this dude up on the shelf with the rest of the treasure, and we can move on to the next items as soon as I get this one uploaded, probably sometime tonight. Let's see how this looks. Move the lion out of the way because I still got to spray paint him. Pick up our treasure chest, slide it back here, and it's going to be setting up on the light, so it's going to slide, it's going to fall forward if we let it. So let's see, we've got some other things I brought in here. I actually found that King Tut's death mask here at a yard sale. I think he's an incense burner, and I got this one at another yard sale, and I just kind of like the look of it. So like I said, there's no guarantee that we won't have to put a liner in here, but for the meantime, I think it'll do alright. So, this is Dr. Von Mad, and I will see you guys one and all on the flip side. Don't forget to follow us on Pinterest, Patreon, and Facebook. And bye-bye. God bless.